Today, I've got 5 incredibly hot sports cards, plus a prediction about which card will start trending next. My name is Jeff Wilson. By day, I invest in tech companies, and at night, I invest in sports cards. Join me on my journey to profit from the hobby we all love. Hello, sports card investors, and welcome to another Top 5 Tuesday. I hope your week is off to a great start. I hope you had a great weekend. Maybe you got to catch some of the record-breaking sports card sales on Golden auctions that happened over the weekend. I was watching those sales. I bought a bunch of cards from Golden auctions over the weekend as well, so I was part of some of the sales. Not the biggest sales though, not the 5 sales. By the way, 5 sales that went for over $1 million. There were 5 sports cards over the weekend that sold for over $1 million. It was headlined by the Kobe Bryant 1996 Topps Chrome Refractor BGS Black Label. Only 2 of these cards in the world. An incredible card that sold for almost $1.8 million. And then you had a couple of LeBron cards sell for over $1 million. You had a Mickey Mantle card and a Roberto Clemente card sell for over $1 million. I love these record-breaking sales. I love when it gets out there in the sports media, when it's on the homepage and the headlines of ESPN.com, which that Kobe Bryant card sale was. That is good stuff for the sports card industry and for us sports card investors. So keep it coming. Also good stuff. We have gotten thousands of people off of the waiting list and into Dibs. I did a video a little over a week ago about this new app, this new platform called Dibs, which is absolutely amazing. It allows you to buy fractional shares, fractional ownership of cards that are stored in PWCC's vault by Dibs, and buy and sell those cards, those shares in real time, even on a player level. It's an incredible experience. And if you don't yet have access, I can help you get in early. All you have to do is go to sportscardinvestor.com, and on the homepage, scroll right below where it says trending cards and enter your email address. There's a box right there that says sign up for Dibs early access. Enter your email address. And then when you finally do get your access, and we're letting more and more people in every single day off the wait list, when you do get your access, make sure to use referral code SCI Special. All one word, SCI Special, because that referral code will get you a free frac pack, a pack of fractional ownership of a bunch of different sports cards inside Dibs system when you make your first deposit. It is an awesome promotion that we are doing with Dibs, so make sure to take advantage of that. Wow, okay, final announcement, more big news before we jump into the top 5 today. Market Movers, our awesome data platform here at Sports Card Investor. We have now created a dedicated YouTube channel, a brand new YouTube channel, as well as new social media accounts just for Market Movers. If you're a Market Movers member, you absolutely want to subscribe to these, but even if you aren't, you still want to subscribe to these because we're going to be putting out new videos every single week on the Market Movers YouTube channel, diving in depth into sports card data and analytics. And of course, we're going to be using our Market Movers data platform in order to do that. So please go subscribe to these channels. The link is going to be right below this video or in the podcast notes if you're listening that way. Make sure to click the link, go to the Market Movers channel, hit that subscribe button on YouTube, and also subscribe to the Twitter and Instagram for Market Movers as well. You don't want to miss the awesome free content we're going to be putting out each week about the sports card world on those Market Movers channels. Okay, guys, here we go. It is time to get into our top 5 this week, and plus my prediction as to what card is going to start trending next. Let's see if I'm right. Let's get started with this week's top 5 cards. All right, let's get this list started with a prediction. I'm going to predict a card that I think is going to be in the top 5 next week. Look, chicks love the long ball. Sports card investors, we love the long ball as well. And last night, baseball prospect Bobby Witt Jr. smashed a long ball, 484 feet. Now, Bobby Witt Jr. has actually been on my radar for a little while. He was one of the hot prospects in last year's Bowman and Bowman Chrome release. He was in the 2020 Bowman and Bowman Chrome products. And if you're a baseball prospector, you probably know this guy because he was the 2nd overall pick by the Kansas City Royals in the 2019 amateur draft. He is a 5-tool player. He plays infield for the Royals, and he is off to a great start this Cactus League season. He's been playing in a lot of games, putting up really impressive numbers, and that was before that massive home run. Now that home run is making headlines, it was on ESPN.com as a headline today and other sports sites. I suspect we're going to see Bobby Witt's cards really take off in the days ahead. They're probably already taking off by the time you're watching this video. I would not be surprised if he has a very bright sports card future ahead of him. His Bowman and Bowman Chrome cards in raw condition have been pretty cheap. Typically just, $5 or so. They may not be that cheap for long. We're gonna see where those things go in the upcoming weeks. Keep an eye on him. But he, of course, is a prospect. And whenever you invest in a baseball prospect who hasn't even made the majors yet, by the way, this guy, Bobby Witt Jr., he's played very little because there was no minor league last season, right? So this guy hasn't had much play time. So although I'm optimistic about his future, he is certainly a risk, a big risk if you're going to invest in a player like that. So let's start today's list with another baseball player who may have already proven a thing or two or many things over his 19-season MLB career. Miguel Cabrera. Miguel Cabrera has had a storybook career. He has been one of the best baseball players this century, bar none. He's 37 years old now, but his cards are really starting to spike for a couple of reasons. First of all, this season, Cabrera has a chance of reaching 3,000 hits. He's close. He also has a chance of reaching 500 home runs. He's close to that as well. So savvy sports card investors have been thinking ahead and thinking, oh, wait a minute, if he does those things this season, that's probably going to cause an interest in his cards and maybe a spike in his prices. Sure enough, that likely will happen. So they have been buying his cards up now. And of course, the other reason why his cards have been going up is he's an iconic player, and iconic players from all sports have been hot over the last couple of months. I mean, this guy's an 11 times All-Star, a 2 times MVP. He, of course, won the Triple Crown in 2012, which is absolutely amazing. 4 times batting champion, 2 times home run leader, and a 2003 World Series champion. So this guy has truly done it all, and now his card prices are doing it all as well. I brought up on the screen here his 2000 Topps Chrome traded in PSA 10, that's the top line, and his 2000 Topps traded in PSA 10, that is the bottom line. Both fairly low population cards. The Topps Chrome, there's only 590 of those. That's why there's not a lot of sales on the screen in PSA 10. The 2000 Topps traded, there's 1,814 of those in PSA 10, but still fairly low overall, especially compared to modern cards. Both of these cards are up a ton. Over the last 90 days, the 2000 Topps traded is up 271%, and the Topps Chrome from that year is up 275%. Well deserved, and it will be interesting to see where his cards go from here if he is able to hit those massive milestones this season. For our number 4 player this week, we're going from a proven player back to a prospect, but we're switching sports. We're going to basketball, and we're going to a player who's got a ton of talent, but a ton of baggage that goes along with it. Let's talk about Kevin Porter Jr. Kevin Porter Jr. was an incredibly talented player in college at USC, but he fell further down draft boards than many thought he would just because of some baggage that came along with him. He wasn't always considered to be a very good teammate. So he was drafted 30th overall in 2019. He ends up going to Cleveland, where they give him playing time. They really try to make things work with him, but then they essentially boot him off the team. I mean, they basically traded this guy for a bag of peanuts because he was in arguments with the staff in Cleveland. It wasn't a good situation. So they shipped him off to Houston for whatever they could get for him, which was very little in return. And Houston put him down in the G League, where naturally he was doing great, averaging 24 points per game, 7 assists per game in the G League. Houston, their NBA franchise, doing really, really poorly right now. So they decided, what the heck, we're going to call him up. And after the All-Star break, we're going to give him a chance to be the sixth man coming off the bench for the second half of the season and really see what Kevin Porter Jr. can do. This, of course, has caused sports card investors to begin speculating once again on his cards and hoping that this brings a spike. And you can see on your screen here what his 2019 Prism Silver card has done over the last 30 days. That is a strong trend line. This was a card back at the beginning of February in PSA 10 condition, was right around $225, and this card now is all the way up at almost $400, a 76% increase over the course of 30 days, just on the speculation that maybe this guy could finally get it together in Houston and do something there. We shall see if that proves true or not. All right, for our number 3 player on this week's list, let's go with someone a little more established from the NBA, somebody a little more proven. Let's go with the beard. Let's go with James Harden, because James Harden is certainly having himself a season for the Nets, but in a little bit of a different way than you might expect. Now, I will admit, when the news of Harden going to the Nets to play alongside KD and Kyrie broke, I was a little bit skeptical, because while that trio has all of the talent in the world, I was worried about the chemistry, and I was worried about all 3 of them being ball hogs and that whole situation not really working out. But here's the interesting thing about James Harden. This season, his points are way down, but his assists are way up, because he's actually playing the role of being a facilitator in that offense. His points per game, he's only averaging 25 points per game this season, which is a lot for most players in the league, but it's 9 points per game less than what he averaged last season with the Rockets. But he's averaging 11 assists per game, which is a career high. And the chemistry seems to be working, at least on the offensive end, as the combo of him and KD and Kyrie, at least when they're all healthy and on the court together, which hasn't been too often. But the chemistry really does seem to be working offensively. Defensively, they're not so good. Their defensive numbers are pretty poor, but who cares about defense if you're a sports card investor? We all know that sports card investors as a whole tend to chase offensive stars and offensive statistics and kind of don't worry so much about the defensive side. Case in point, my boy Trae Young, right? We all love Trae Young. His defense not so good, but hey, he can pull up and hit shots from half court, so let's invest in his cards. All right, so the offense is working for James Harden, and so are his card prices. You can see them here on your screen. This is his 2009 Topps rookie card in PSA 10, in PSA 9, and in BGS 9.5. You can see how they're all going up over the last 90 days, and you can really see that when I switched the graph to show price changes by percentage. And you can see that all 3 of these cards are going up at a very similar level. So no matter what grade of James Harden's rookie card you might have, that card is really going up. Somewhere, in fact, between about 270% and about 400% over the last 90 days. If the Nets continue to play well, if they make a run to the NBA Finals this year, watch out. These cards might go up even further. There's still, I think, some value to be had potentially in James Harden cards. For our number 2 card this week, we have a female athlete from a sport that we don't get to talk a whole lot about. Even though there are some cards from this sport that have gone up a ton recently, there's not many cards in general from the world of tennis that are actively being sought after by sports card investors. But there's a new one on the scene. And if you've been paying any attention to women's tennis recently, you can probably guess that I am talking about Naomi Osaka. Naomi Osaka just won the Australian Open in commanding fashion. And in the process, she beat Serena Williams in the semifinals. And it really looks like Naomi Osaka is the face of women's tennis for some time to come. She's probably going to go on a pretty impressive run of winning majors. In fact, she's never not won a major if she's made it all the way to at least the quarterfinals in the major. She's only 23 years old, so she's got a lot of career ahead of her. She's from Japan, and that's potentially is interesting as well with the Asian sports card market. So there's a lot of reason to like Naomi Osaka's cards. Now, here's another reason to like them. There's hardly any of them out there. And in fact, the rookie card of hers, the one that people are actually looking at, is this 2018 Sports Illustrated for Kids tear-out card. And gosh, this sounds familiar because you probably know that one of Tiger Woods' most sought-after rookie cards is his 1996 Sports Illustrated for Kids tear-out cards. So perhaps all of us should just subscribe to Sports Illustrated for Kids and keep a stack of those cards in our basement, or those magazines, I should say, in our basement, because every once in a while, one of these athletes has a card in Sports Illustrated for Kids that they don't have anywhere else. And all of a sudden that card goes on to be worth tons of money. And that is starting to be the case with Naomi Osaka. Now, there's only a few of this card graded out there at all. So I'm going to show you a graph of this card in raw condition. And you can see, I mean, this was a card that in raw condition was $32 at the beginning of January. $32. And all of a sudden, this card's selling for over $500. There was a sale of this card for over $1,000. Another sale for $360. You got more sales, $454, $400, $419. Again, a card that back in January was selling for $32. So apparently we are all now Sports Illustrated for Kids investors, and we are Naomi Osaka investors. And this is the type of incredible price changes that can happen when you have a really rare card that people all of a sudden start seeking. Very impressive. It's time for our number 1 card this week, and our friends in Canada are going to love this card. Hockey fans are going to love this card because, yes, we are going to hockey, and we are going to Drake Batherson as our number 1 card this week. Drake Batherson. He's the 22-year-old of the Ottawa Senators. He's been a pretty hot prospect. In fact, SB Nation had him as the 4th highest rated player under the age of 25 coming into this season. He has been a star in the AHL, which is kind of like the G League in hockey for you NBA fans out there who don't watch a lot of hockey. But now he's getting his chance to shine in the NHL, where he is considered to be one of the bright young stars. He was called up to the NHL. Now, the first part of this season, he didn't do a whole lot. In his first 16 games, he only scored 1 goal. But then he went on a streak where he scored 8 goals in 8 games. And that really got the attention of the hockey card investing community. Also getting everybody's attention was that on Sunday night, the Senators took the Calgary Flames to a match that came down to a shootout. And of course, it was Batherson who ultimately scored the game-winning goal. And when players, especially young players, have moments like that to cap off a hot streak, you can bet that their sports card prices are going up. Let's take a look here at Batherson's 2018 Upper Deck Young Guns base card. For those of you unfamiliar, the Young Gun cards in hockey are kind of the equivalent of like, the Prism rookie cards in basketball. They're the ones that everybody loves to chase. And this is his Young Guns base card in raw condition, because there's not a ton of these graded out there yet, although I'm sure there will be more soon. You can see this is the trend line from the last 30 days. This card's really shot up over the course of the last week especially. This was a card that even back on February 25th, so rewinding the clock only about 2 weeks ago, this card was right around $10. Sometimes less than $10 in raw condition you could pick up this card for. And this card is now consistently selling for over $35. So again, this card has gone from $10 or less to over $35 over the course of just a couple of weeks. Now, I know a lot of you watching say, hey, talk more on this show about value cards, less about the $1.8 million Kobe Bryant sale, and a little bit more about cards that are attainable for everybody to buy and collect. Look, you got it here. $10 in a Drake Batherson 2018 Upper Deck Young Guns card would yield you $35 or more a couple of weeks later. It is awesome that across the sports card market, it doesn't matter if you are buying cards on the low end or the high end, you have a chance to make absolutely incredible gains. And by the way, a great way to go shopping for cards like Drake Batherson's, our #1 guy on this week's list, is by using the Sports Card Investor app. It is totally free, and it allows you to see all of the key cards from all of the key players. It shows you what's trending, and it shows you all of the best prices of those cards sorted by price for sale on eBay, along with recent sales information, so you can always jump in and get a great deal. Check out the Sports Card Investor app in the App Store. It's free to go download if you haven't downloaded it already. Don't forget about the promotion we're doing with Dibs. Go to our website, sportscardinvestor.com, scroll below trending cards and put in your email address. You want to take advantage of that promotion. And please subscribe to this channel and go subscribe to our new Market Movers YouTube and social channels. You're going to love the content that we're putting out there in the weeks ahead. Everybody, thanks so much for watching another Top 5. Enjoy the rest of your week. We'll see you back in a couple of days with our next episode. Take care.